The spare key under the radiator at 2:14 a.m. It was warm. I'm not jealous of bodies, I'm jealous of access. Bodies will tell the truth if you stop staging them. Access decides which truth gets to arrive. At 2:14 a.m., the spare key under our radiator was warm, which meant the night had used it and tried to put it back before I noticed. I did notice. The heat held its shape in my palm like a story that knew it had been badly handled. Eli had texted at 11:31 p.m. Studio ran long. If I crash there, don't hate me. There meant the couch in the booth under the terrible poster from the festival that never happened. It never meant here, our apartment, the window with the plant we can't kill. The lock hadn't made its small throat-clearing sound that tells you the door has good manners. I'd woken to the feeling of a room that had rehearsed without me. I went to check the radiator because cruelty loves tradition. The key was warm and the hallway was quiet, and I had the kind of choice I always fail: wake the city or wait for it. I put the key back. I made tea because boiling water is the only honest violence I know. At 3:06 the door cleared its throat, late polite, and Eli came in holding his shoes like they were witnesses. He kissed the air beside my cheek, our administrative truce, and said, "You're up," as if I'd broken the etiquette of sleeping. "We agreed the spare is for emergencies," I said. "Fires, floods, lost wallets." "It was a kind of fire," he said, and the joke failed to practice safety. He put his shoes on the mat facing the door like they were hopping to leave again. He smelled like river wind and the idea of chlorine. "Whose kind?" I asked. He put both palms flat on the table the way our therapist taught us when we wanted to give words somewhere to land. "Which question do you want?" he asked. "Why or who?" "Why," I said, "because Matt, my emergency adult, would kick me if I started with names." "Because the part wasn't coming," Eli said. "Because Luca says my track forgives me more easily when the room does not remember me. Because Theo texted he was near, and I wanted to say no and didn't. Because the night was too long to be decent and too short to pretend." "Theo," I said, the name making the room adjust its shoulders. He and Eli had spent a month translating a kiss for a director who believed in the ethics of watching. They'd gotten good at letting the audience breathe them. They hadn't gotten good at ignoring their own breath. "I'm not a detective. I edit sound for films where people keep learning the wrong lines at the right time. If you give me a lie, I don't know where to put the echo." I poured tea and watched his throat work because throats are truth-tellers when mouths are taking a break. He let me. At 7:05, the kettle redeemed morning by doing the one thing it always does. At noon, I met Matt at the place where linen napkins pretend to be absolution. He listened to the spare key story with the face of a man who thinks panic is a math problem. "Ask why," he said. "You did. If who insists, make it the second noun, not the first verb. And when you get home, move the chair." The chair trick is stupid and effective. Middle of the kitchen, ridiculous geometry that makes bodies believe the scene has changed. I did it. Eli saw it and smiled like a man grateful to be caught gently. He put his palms down again. "Ask it," he said. "Did you kiss him?" I asked, breaking Matt's rule like a boy with a stick and a fence. "No," Eli said, and his mouth made the shape I collect for truth. I fed him a lie about how sleep works. He touched my wrist and I remembered I like being read. He asked if I wanted to see his room and I said I had a room and a person in it. I left before I believed myself less. "You used the key," I said. "I wanted to see if home could win when I returned late to it," he said. "It was not kind. It was the only honest thing I could buy at that hour." We agreed on two things without writing them under the orange magnet. If the spare key warms for someone, both of us should have known beforehand. If the night decides to teach us our names, We say them in the same room. Tests arrive when etiquette says they should not. 2 nights later, the door cleared its throat at 1:02 and then again at 1:03 because it likes repetition. Eli came in clean in a way water doesn't do and wet in a way honesty does. Behind him, a laugh in the hallway tried on the shape of a coin and fell quiet. I moved the chair. He sat across from it like it was a witness. Coincidence, he said. The word arrived wearing last night's suit. Theo walked me to the door. Did you think about coming in together? I asked. Because sometimes the only courage I can access is cruelty. I thought about kissing him goodbye in the stairwell, he said. I thought you'd hear it the way I hear your recordings when you think you're whispering. I didn't. He wiped his face with a sleeve in a gesture men learned from centuries of not knowing where to put their hands. Do you want to hate me now or later? He asked. I have a preference for now. I like how you come back from it. I'm tired of coming back, I said. I want to stay. He stood up and the dumb geometry of the chair saved us from melodrama. He came around it, put his hands on my face, and paused until my mouth gave its honest permission. His kiss was apology learned in a better school. We used our bodies like an argument where both sides think losing is the point. I turned him against the counter, and he made the sound he makes when he's more animal than decision. My hand learned again where his spine begins to believe. He unbuttoned my shirt like a man unwrapping a gift he intends to keep. We use the table because it has learned to be a stage that only performs when paid. If I could put the rest here without losing our apartment on the platform that likes virtue, I would. You can have a mouth on a shoulder and a palm pinning a wrist gently and a breath that meant yes enough. We did not talk for a while because the room finally knew what to do with us. After, I lay with my head on his chest and listened for the mistakes I'd need to forgive. The heartbeat did not apologize. That is a relief I will always need. Theo texted the next afternoon. It was not a confession. It was logistics with a flirting minor. Can you send the new cut? He asked. Also, I almost kissed the stairwell goodnight. Eli showed me the screen without instructions. I took the phone and typed the stairwell prefers verbs and sent it before I could decide to be less clever. Theo replied with a single period as if grammar were a mercy. We did not text him again. 2 weeks later, Eli got the invitation he keeps pretending not to want. 7 days in the mountains with windows generous enough to believe they can solve people. He forwarded the attachments like a man who had learned where courage keeps its receipts. I want to go without disappearing, he wrote. I'll send pages, not alibis. When I get back, ask me what I wrote before what I did. I printed the email because paper is a slower guilt. I taped 2 sentences under the orange magnet. Addresses in the open. A good night here voice note every day. He added a third in his careful mess. If an I can't is about to be spoken, it happens where both of us are. He went. The first night he sent me audio of a room trying to remember it wasn't a forest. Today the table forgave me, he said. I replied with our kitchen. The chair moved to the center, the kettle about to sing 7:05 even when it wasn't time. The third night he sent nothing and the app tried to persuade me to audition for Suspicion. I moved the chair instead and let my body rehearse staying. He came back with a suitcase that didn't slam and a mouth that knew where it belonged. He spread 2 pages on the table and watched them like a parent at a nursery window. They're not good, he said. They're mine, I said, and we performed the ceremony of believing in progress. We saw Theo at an opening that liked itself too much. He said both our names the way a good actor reads stage directions, and Eli stepped closer to me in that almost invisible way that tells me I'm in a dress. Theo asked how the track breathes in different rooms. Eli said it breathes here. Theo smiled like a man proud of his work and weather. He kissed my cheek like mercy and Eli's jaw like history, and then left to practice being intriguing to someone else. The spare key still lives under the radiator. Sometimes I check it at odd hours the way teenagers poke bruises. It is always cool when I expect warmth and warm when I expect cool. It has never learned guilt. I am jealous of metal that way. We added one rule to the paper because we aren't brave enough to be gods. If you open the door for someone, you open your mouth for me. Eli wrote it. I underlined it. I don't pretend we got away with anything. I think we bought time where we should have bought courage and then used it well enough to pay interest. If another night gives me a warm key or a hallway laugh or a text from a mouth that believes it can be verbs, I hope I remember the handful of humiliating, useful acts that got us through this one. Put water on. Move the chair. Ask why before who. Hold the second before contact and let it finish being the scene. At 7:05 this morning, I filmed the coffee rising because I'm embarrassing and because the camera is kinder than memory. I typed here because addresses are the only miracles I still claim. Eli slid his hand into the frame and pressed his palm to mine without touching. Here, he said. The plant in the window refused to die. The radiator warmed the room without making promises. The key under it cooled on purpose.